Welcome back to the Gracefully Wild Soul podcast. Today we are going to talk about June 29th, 2026. Why am I so specific with this date? Well, we have a full moon in Capricorn, Mercury retrograde in Cancer, and Jupiter leaving Cancer and heading into Leo. Plus, we have an aspect that's happening with the lunar nodes. So there's a lot of activity happening. So I thought today could be a great day to talk about all of the things that are happening. And I'm going to share a little full moon meditation with you as well. So let's do it. Welcome to the Gracefully Wild Soul podcast. I'm Kirsten, a mother and soul guide, and this is a space where your soul is witnessed and the frequency of your heart is felt. Together, we will have intimate conversations about the essence of life, the beauty of your soul's path, and our evolution as women and as mothers. Through channeled words, lived experiences, and the wisdom of nature's rhythms, the soul, and the sacred feminine, this is where the gracefully wild woman begins to rise. All right, we are going to actually start this episode with a full moon meditation. And then I will go into kind of the energy, the transits, the things that are happening up in the sky on June 29th. And we'll go from there. So what I would love for you to do is, if you are in a safe position to do so, to close your eyes and come into a state of stillness as we move into this full moon in Capricorn meditation. So just begin to close your eyes. Allow your breathing to slow down. Notice the rhythm of your own body. Notice your own presence. Notice the structure that's holding you. Allow your shoulders to release and decompress. Beginning to let go of the day, the week, the month, the year, and just finding your calm internal presence. I want you to visualize these beautiful green vines beginning to extend from deep within your torso, down through your legs and your feet, deep into the soil of Mother Earth. This connection is anchoring you, holding you, reminding you that you are safe, that you are loved, and that you are ready to release and let go of what no longer belongs to you. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Notice how you begin to just simply float above your body, leaving the space, leaving the structure, leaving the state that you live in, beginning to float high and high all the way up into the beautiful, expansive sky that this planet lives. You are surrounded by the stars, the planets, and the vast, beautiful energy of this universe. You begin to float towards a bright white light that as you approach, it appears as a door to you. You open the door and enter the space. And as you enter, you look around and you take a deep breath. You notice the moisture in the air, the dew that is sitting on the blades of grass at your feet. You look up into the sky and the clouds begin to part. And before you is a luscious, bright, full moon. The moon is lighting the path before you. Slowly you begin to take a step by step, walking down this path. Once again, taking in your surroundings. And as you walk down this path, you will gently arrive at a clearing. You look around and you are surrounded by beautiful green trees, evergreens extending high up towards the midnight sky. Once again, looking up into the sky, you notice the fullness of this beautiful luminary, the moon. Looking down back to the earth, you notice that you are on a water's edge. It is a shallow pool of water, not quite as deep as a lake, not as small as a puddle, but perfectly fitting for you to step into. Slowly, step by step, you find yourself in this water, noticing the moon's reflection beaming back up from the glistening elements at your feet. You look into the water and you notice your own reflection, your face appearing perfectly in the circle, in the shape of the moon's reflection in the water. This light is reflected deeply into your eyes, where everything begins to become clear. The wise elder, the grandmother of the zodiac, Capricorn. Her steady hand guides you to the places deep within your soul and your body that have felt distant and dark. Her nurturing love shows you the way, reminding you that there is always a way. You bring your attention back to the glistening water before you, feeling the warm embrace of Grandmother Capricorn by your side. You look up. There is a beautiful woman approaching you from across the water's way. She steps into the water to meet you as a mere reflection. You reach your hand out as she reaches hers, meeting, holding hands. She says, I am goddess Danu, the mother goddess of all creation. I come to show you the way back home. But home is no place. Home is not a destination. Home is what you hold deep in your heart. She offers her gentle love and guidance. Danu speaks. Feel the earth beneath your toes. Feel the water rising around your ankles and legs. It's gently brushing by. It is holding you. It is stable yet moving. Danu asks you to close your eyes and feeling the roots of your feet on the earth and the cleansing waters around your legs to let go, to open your heart to the moon and the sky and the light above, to release. Allow it to just begin to fade, drifting off of every piece of your body, heart, and soul. Letting it go to the moon, letting it go to the water, letting it go to the earth. She asks you to turn your gaze back to the reflection on the water, to open your eyes and rise. Rise from the dark places, rise towards the moon, and know that you are the bridge between the heavens and the earth. You are the fertile grounds. You are the sovereign self. Danu, let's go of your hands, offering one final blessing of love, turns and begins to leave. You place your hands on your heart, holding deep within all that you have come to know as true in this moment. Then you turn and begin to step out of the water, releasing the earth from your feet, allowing the blades of grass to cleanse them with their evening dew. And you begin to walk back down the path that you entered upon. The grandmother moon by your side, at your back. And you continue to walk down the path all the way to the door where you arrived. You step through, once again entering the void, the space, and you begin to journey back down, all the way down to this beautiful planet of Mother Earth, finding your way back over your land, your structure, and over your body, all the way down through the crown of your head. finding your grounding and your footing just beneath you. And slowly begin to open your eyes. All right. I hope you enjoyed that meditation. Feel free to just take this episode in 2 doses, but I'm going to go ahead and just speak to the energy of June 29th and what's happening on that day, because I think that it really is an opportunity to root, release, and rise in a different way. So June 29th, as I mentioned, is the full moon in Capricorn. And we will have entered Cancer season on June 21st, which is the summer solstice. So Capricorn and Cancer are opposing signs. So you have 2 sides of the same coin. And I say that loosely, the same coin, because they're not the same, but they have these elements that they do share that cross over. So Capricorn is known as the elder in the zodiac, and the wise one, the grandmother, the grandfather. So that is kind of the archetypal energy that you see in Capricorn. It is a cardinal earth sign. And so it is an earth-based sign, yet the symbol or the imagery that is associated with Capricorn is the sea goat. And so there is this water element that does come into Capricorn. And for me, whenever I think about Capricorn, I actually think about kind of an accumulation of the zodiac signs together, even though Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac, which is a water sign again. Capricorn really is taking all of the wisdom of the prior signs into its consideration, because Capricorn comes just before Aquarius season. So Capricorn, Aquarius, and then we drop into Pisces. So it goes earth, air, water. And so essentially all of the signs that come before Capricorn, it just has the flavors of all of those. And so I just find that it holds wisdom in a very grounded, earthly way, right? That's that earth sign that we have. And so its mission, its kind of, I don't know, purpose through it all is to accumulate this spiritual view and bring it into the land, to bring it into the world. And if you've ever sat in a room with one of your elders, they offer wisdom in such a grounded way, like there sometimes there's just no filter, right? There's no filter. And if you're really listening, they can say things where you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way, or that's so profound. And they're really just speaking from like their lived experiences. And so I just think of Capricorn in that exact way. So, this full moon in Capricorn is asking us to do 2 things. One, illuminate where that wisdom is held within us. Looking at where does that sit for you? And what is it, And maybe you don't have the answer. That's okay. That's kind of the point of a full moon. It's illuminating something. But the question is, what is that ancient grandmother, elderly wisdom that you hold deep within yourself? And ultimately, during a full moon, we want to find some sort of release. So we have this illumination element, and then we have this release element that we're working with when we tap into a full moon. And the release, really, when it comes down to almost anything, but in this particular situation, in this full moon on June 29th, we're looking to release that, I guess fear would probably be the right word, but essentially that limiting belief that we don't hold that wisdom. And so that might manifest itself as a fear of sharing, that might manifest itself as a fear of being seen when we know we hold this deep well of wisdom and it is meant to be shared. And so we have, again, this moment to recognize something within ourselves and release whatever it is that's holding us back. And so that's really what this full moon in Capricorn is asking us to do. And I'm going to break down, I think, just like piece by piece what's happening. And then at the end, we're going to bring it all together. Okay, so like I mentioned, we will be in Cancer season. And so go back and listen to the prior episode where I talk a bit more about the Cancer archetype and the elements, but I'll just kind of add in a few pieces here. So Cancer season is a cardinal sign as well. So we are initiating something. Cardinal means a new beginning. And so summer solstice is a new beginning in a different way. So it's the cardinal water that we have. And it's an initiation, a beginning point to tap into our inner world, our intuition, our feelings, that kind of instinctual side of us that lives deep within. And Cancer is again, it's like kind of the opposite side of the coin in a similar but also different way from Capricorn. It does hold this similar like motherly energy, but it looks more to its internal family, more of that kind of immediate universe family, where Capricorn, has this idea of family, but it's more worldly, or it's more like a tribe. It's more like a village, right? And Cancer is much more like this immediate circle, this immediate family. So again, there's this motherly element that is still present in Capricorn that is also carried over into Cancer. So they share this kind of archetypal energy. It's just a different lens, right? And so Cancer archetype is also rooted in community. It does have this pillar of community, but its focus is in like the family unit, I guess you could say, like the immediate family unit. So how does that family unit ultimately become a pillar out in the greater community? Like that's more of the vision of Capricorn. So we have these somewhat similar and or crossover energies happening between the two signs. But once again, they come from a different lens. So they are opposing signs in a partnership way, I think. And that's how I view most opposing signs. They are a partnership, right? So being in Cancer season during this full moon, that is how it works. A full moon happens in the opposing sign. But the elements that are coming forward for Cancer season are going to be a little bit different this year. And that's because Mercury is going into retrograde on June 29th, the same day as the full moon in the sign of Cancer. So we actually get this reflection point in a different way. So we have, kind of the natural marker with a full moon of like, let's reflect via the moonlight to see what it is that we need to release. But Mercury is actually kind of helpful in this way. Mercury is like the bad rap planet, that is always getting the shade of causing all the problems. And that's because we constantly have this Mercury retrograde happening at different times of the year. It happens multiple times a year. So it does kind of muddle things up. That's just a reality of it. But ultimately, the invitation in a Mercury retrograde is to pause and reflect and refine. That's really what Mercury is asking us to do, because it is a fast communicator. It's, very witty. It can move between worlds quickly. And this time of retrograde actually allows us to slow that down. And so when we're moving into the sign of Cancer, so Mercury retrograde in Cancer, we're actually able to see kind of this wounding or this limiting belief that is holding us back from offering our wisdom, sharing the wise words that we have to say. So it's not a time to charge forward. And with a full moon, you can feel that energy in certain ways where it's like, yes, I'm ready to go. Let's move forward, let's launch, let's do all the things. But with Mercury retrograde hitting on the same day, this is really a powerful time to spend time reflecting on your internal world and how, that deep wisdom can be shared in the external world. It doesn't mean go ahead and share it right away. Like, it just means this is the time to understand it, to look at it, to reflect upon it. And so that's how I'm seeing this Mercury retrograde lining up with this Capricorn full moon on the same day. So slow down, just take the invitation to delay in a good way. Like, find that yummy procrastination that sometimes can feel icky, but find it here because, also Cancer season is this like, let's rest, let's play, let's have fun. So, just do that, but also like reflect. Okay, so moving to Jupiter. So Jupiter has been hanging out in Cancer and it is moving into Leo on the same day. So June 29th, full moon in Capricorn, Mercury retrograde in Cancer, and Jupiter is leaving Cancer and going into Leo. So lots of activity that is going to hit us in different places, in different directions. And so we are going to feel this tug and pull. So as I said, this Mercury retrograde is an invitation always to slow down, but particularly here, Jupiter in Leo is going to give you the opposite vibes. It's going to say, we are ready. Let's light this fire. I want to be all over that TV screen. I want to create the videos. I want to be out there. I want to just expand my heart. All of that beautiful Leo heart-led leadership is going to want to come forward. And Jupiter is going to say, let's get it done. Let's expand in this space. We've been waiting for too long. And you probably will. I think that that's going to be a really special thing about Jupiter and Leo together is that we are going to see this abundance of heart-led leadership come forward, but maybe just not on this particular day. Maybe, even waiting during the Mercury retrograde because, Jupiter and Leo is going to be a longer transit. So we're going to be in it for a while, but Mercury retrograde, not counting shadow periods, is 2-ish going on 3 weeks. So just spend the time to figure out how that Leo energy wants to expand, how that visible leader is ready to come forward. So, using June 29th as the leaping point into this Jupiter and Leo transit, I think is going to be really powerful and useful for us moving forward. So like Jupiter, let's spend a few minutes just talking about that. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Jupiter is the visionary, and it's here for abundance and growth and all the things like the worldly view, right? So when Jupiter leaves Cancer, like this kind of expanding, piece that's been happening in maybe your emotional world, your intuitive world, your immediate family, that kind of pillar that's in your community, that's your own internal pillar as well, is now going to be moving into a fire sign. It's going to be moving into that Leo energy. And we all know a Leo when we see one or when we meet one. And they have this incredible bright aura. They have it's like the sun is just radiating from them. And so Jupiter's going to want that energy to go really far. It's going to want to take that internal sunshine and move it out into the world. And I think that that's, once again, I think it's going to land beautifully, and I think it's going to be amazing. We're going to see more heart-led leaders step into their authenticity, step into leadership roles, step into their sovereignty, and really own that piece of themselves. So I actually think it's going to be just such a lovely, lovely transit. And of course, like, take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt, because all of these things hit your personal chart differently. But when we're talking about the energy overall, this is what we're working with. Okay, as I mentioned at the beginning, there is a little bit of tension on this day as well. So again, we have kind of this tug and pull, right? We have this internal experience happening with Mercury retrograding in Cancer. We have this illumination happening with Capricorn, full moon. We have the Jupiter jumping into the fire with Leo. But then we have Mars making a square to the lunar node. So I believe Mars will be in Gemini and it will be squaring off with the collective lunar nodes. So Pisces, Virgo. So we have a Pisces north node and a Virgo south node. Okay, so that means we're going to have a bit of this tension, right? So a square is usually some sort of tension. Again, I use these words so you understand. Tension is not always bad, okay? It can just mean that there's something that is getting honed in on. There's a focal point that's happening. And so when we have this kind of little tension happening with Mars, the planet of action and war, hitting in the sign of Gemini, the communicator of the zodiac, and Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, so don't forget that Mercury retrograde. With the nodes, we're gonna probably see some collective things unfolding with some, I don't know, spicy words. There's going to be some spiciness out there, I think, is what I am envisioning. And we're going to see it coming from all different angles of life. But I think that we'll see it in social media. We'll see it in local communities, even kind of your micro communities, because Gemini is also kind of the sign that deals with local communities. And with Uranus and Gemini, we have a lot of social media elements and kind of shakeups happening. So, just keep your eye out for some of those tense points or those spicy words and notice if they're popping up for you. And maybe Mercury retrograde in Cancer will soften that a little bit, or we'll slow down and take in that full moon energy to just reflect on what's happening for us internally when we see these things out in the world. So those are all of the events that are happening on June 29th. What? I know. It's kind of, it's a lot. It's a lot happening. But at the end of the day, what we are being invited to do in this moment and with this energy moving forward is to root, to release, and to rise. And so all of these things happening at the same time is giving us different stepping stones into those pieces. We want to release. I know that's hard. I'm saying that with love. We want to release maybe other people's expectations. We want to release whatever limiting belief is holding us back. We want to come home to ourselves and understand what our inner voice is. What is our intuition telling us? This is that Mercury retrograde in Cancer. We are being asked to slow down and to really listen to our internal world. Once again, coming back to that Mercury retrograde, moving all the way up into that Jupiter and Leo energy. Maybe we dare to be seen, maybe it's not on that day, but eventually we really shine our light. And knowing what that is part of the process. And then, this square happening with Mars, well, we have to think about how we communicate that. We have to really understand how our words have impact. They have impact on ourselves. They have impact on other people. They have impact on our immediate family, and they have impact on the greater world. So, just bringing all of those pieces together and really understanding that you have choice in the matter and you have the tools to refine and understand all of the little elements inside of you so that you can step in to the next chapter, the next iteration, the next offering, the next conversation, whatever it is that's next for you. But bringing all of these things together to move forward. That's what we're doing. We're always moving forward. Okay, that's what I have for you today. I know it's a long episode. I hope that some of it landed and some of it made sense. I know that there is a lot happening, so just take it slowly, take it with a grain of salt. And I'm wishing you full moon blessings. I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye. Thank you, love, for being here. May you walk forward guided by the wild wisdom of your soul and the truth of your heart. To find me beyond the podcast, you can join my newsletter at soulbabe.com for continual updates on offerings and other teachings, or subscribe to the Gracefully Wild Soul Substack. Until next time.